Hey there, Rebecca here, your Vibe Mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration. I want to talk to you today about weight loss, and not so much about calories or exercising, but more so the true cause, the emotional state. Now, I recognize there certainly is a component of the food sources that we have to deal with today, and that is definitely a factor. Assuming that you are eating natural whole foods and still struggling with weight, this may be the video for you. So I like to talk a lot about the 80-20 rule, and 80% of weight loss is mindset and 20% is actual food and exercise. So the mental and emotional changes that are needed in the mind have to come along with the efforts that we put towards the body. It has to be a mental, emotional, and spiritual goal along with the physical goal, because everything is interconnected. And while plenty of people lose weight and get fit but still hate themselves, that's not necessarily sustainable. Over time, that will break down. I believe our end goal in losing weight is feeling good, and we want to feel good about ourselves, both physically but also emotionally. We have to be willing to work on the emotional condition if we're going to be able to address the physical condition. And the first steps to doing that are going to be to cultivate self-awareness and self-honesty. We have to be aware of the thoughts that we're thinking, the feelings that we're feeling, and the things that we're ignoring so that we can start to address them. And we have to be honest with ourselves and admit that there's this thing over here that I don't want to acknowledge and I don't want to deal with. So I'm just going to pretend it's not there. And that will unfortunately end up getting stored in the body. The body keeps the score, and that's a book I highly recommend. So the emotional states that we do not address will be stored in the body for later processing. So we never actually are getting away with anything. Beliefs are one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle. So if you have the belief that you're big boned, or that being overweight runs in your family, or that food is entertainment, or food is a source of emotional support, those are going to prohibit your progress. So the beautiful work of Dr. Bruce Lipton has proven that we are not cursed by our genes. We are not a victim of our genes, that the genetic component in our bodies can be changed by the chemical environment. And so when we have the belief that we're destined to be overweight, that we're big boned, or that our family has always been overweight, therefore we have to be overweight, we are setting the blueprint for what our life will look like. So the thoughts we think and the words we say become the blueprint for our actions, our behavior, our character, and our physical body. So in Bruce Lipton's work, what he found was when he put two pieces of the same exact genetic material in two different petri dishes with two different chemical environments, they turned into two different things. And so when we talk about the chemical environment, your brain is the chemist, and the thoughts you think create the chemistry in our body. And so when we have these negative limiting beliefs, or we have stressful, very self-deprivating thoughts, we are creating stress hormones in the body, and that will turn on genes that we don't want turned on. When we have a positive environment and we are thinking positive thoughts and we're creating positive chemistry in our body, we're going to turn on genes that we do want. And so the belief that you can't for any reason whatsoever is untrue, and that's where we have to be self-aware enough to check that belief and really question, is this true? And shift those beliefs into more positive ones. Worthiness is a huge component. Sometimes people will not feel worthy of feeling happy or being fit or feeling good about themselves, and so they'll use weight as a punishment. I know for me, historically, when I was in negative relationships or toxic relationships, I would actually hold on to weight, even though consciously I wanted to release it. what I wasn't addressing was this external environment that needed to be shifted and changed, that I needed boundaries, I needed to stand up for myself, I needed to walk away. And so I would hold on to this physical weight, and it was almost like this barrier or buffer between me and that pain, or me and that external situation that I didn't want to address. And it was almost as if my body, having greater intelligence than my mind at the time, was trying to protect me and keep me safe. And so it creates this barrier between you and the rest of the world. I know of women who have had very painful relationships, and so they're afraid to date. They don't want to put themselves out there anymore. And weight gain or maintaining a less than appealing physical state was part of their subconscious armor that kept them from that pain in the future. So we need to really understand our sense of worthiness is directly correlated to how our physical body will manifest. And it's really important to remember too that you are worthy no matter what. Every single person who is alive and breathing is worthy of everything they desire and their true core needs being met. So it's not a question of whether or not you're worthy. There's not some people who are worthy and other people who aren't. Every single person is worthy regardless. Unfortunately, just me telling you that is not enough. You have to believe that. I can't give you worthiness. It has to be something that you cultivate for yourself. And that comes from doing hard things and building self-confidence. And confidence comes from competence. By doing the things that you may have not believed yourself capable of doing, you start to build that sense of confidence and that self-worth. When we do start to believe in ourselves, we create credibility. So it's like a muscle that we start to build, the muscle of belief. Self-talk is a huge component of that. If we are constantly berating ourselves and saying nasty, mean things to ourselves, again, we're creating that stress hormone, that chemical environment that creates dis-ease and disease. We need to really monitor with vigilance the self-talk and exercise that filter to say, okay, if this negative thought came, it may be habitual, it may not even be mine, but either way, I don't choose it. That is not accurate or true for me now. Therefore, I reject that and I replace that with a positive belief. We have to be our own cheerleaders, and using positive affirmations can be a huge piece of that. And we have to start somewhere. Sometimes we don't necessarily believe them all to be true right away. And I'm not a proponent of chanting affirmations you don't believe in, but we have to start with ones that you do believe in and work into greater and greater, higher and higher affirmations that ultimately are true. It's just you have to have that belief because your core beliefs are so critically important and they're the foundation for everything. You need to be proud of who you are. And remember that you can do hard things, get rid of the negative self-talk, and remember that your words create your beliefs and it determines your outcome. So I have to go back to that. Be proud of who you are because you are perfectly made for the purpose you are here for. Your divine purpose, the reason you are worthy, the reason you are valuable, the reason you have gifts is incredibly impactful and incredibly important to the world, and you are needed. The world needs that special gift that you have, and so you have to have those words in your head reminding you that I am valuable, I am worthy, I have great gifts to give to the world, I am awesome, right? Like literally give yourself a pat on the back and a hug and literally do it because it actually does have a positive response chemically in your body, but you have to love on yourself. And the more you love on your positive benefits and amplify them and remind yourself of them, the more the world is going to see them, the more they will shine, the more you will grow, the happier you'll feel, the more fulfilled you will feel, the more filled up you will feel, and the less food you will need to intake to feel that sense of nourishment and fulfillment. We need to understand the subconscious benefits that we might experience to holding on to negative beliefs or excess weight. So everything we do, everything we've created has served a purpose, that there is a reason for that weight. There is a reason for that habit to numb out. There's a reason for all negative habits and all positive habits have served us in some way at some point. Even if they don't now, or even if they're not logical, there's a reason for it. Tony Robbins did an intervention with a woman who had depression, and at one point he finally asked her, like, what does this do for you? Why does being depressed serve you? And it was funny because the kind of shock on her face was like, why would this serve me? But what she ended up finding out is that she got love and attention and support from her family, that the connection that she was looking for, that core need, was satisfied by her being depressed. Even though she didn't want to be depressed, she was paying thousands of dollars to be at a Tony Robbins event, to stand up in front of thousands of people to share her story. And yet that wasn't enough for her to be able to see that this depression, that is a choice for her in this exact scenario, that it was serving her and it was meeting one of her needs. So we have to ask ourselves, how does being overweight meet your needs? Does it protect you? Are you afraid of change? Are you trying to punish yourself? What benefit has it had in the past, even though it may not now? And sometimes it's easier to say, okay, in the past it served this benefit. It's not doing that now, but that at least allows us to look more objectively. So try to identify what the weight has done for you, and then we need to look for more resourceful ways of meeting that need. So in the case of the girl with depression, she was able to say, okay, I need more connection, I need more love, and she's able to go out and get that. She connects with her family in more positive ways now, and meets friends and has a greater social network and things of that nature. So understanding the need and finding more resourceful ways to meet it. Don't resist the weight, because what you resist persists. So just like a spring, when we're pushing on it, it's going to spring back and we're going to go, oh, just like yo-yo dieting, right? We're really, really, really strict on our calorie intake, and we run that really long run. We beat ourselves up. We torture ourselves. It's like resist. And then, okay, I met my goal, and then boom, right? As soon as we let go, there it is again, and maybe even more. We have to find an easy, soft way to love and embrace where we are, remembering it served a purpose. Thank you for serving us. And then love it away. We can gently and kindly and compassionately say, thank you. I no longer need this protection. I'm going to meet my needs in a more resourceful way. And I love you just as you are. And I'm going to nourish myself and fill myself up in other ways, so that we can still meet that need. So then your body feels comfortable in releasing. Find other ways to get the sources of happy hormones that we may have been achieving through food. So I believe it's serotonin that we get when we eat food. We can also achieve a goal, take a nap, take a bath. There are other ways, and those three specifically will give you doses of serotonin just like eating food will. There are three other happy hormones that can sometimes feel equally as satisfying. Not always. Sometimes you're specifically looking for serotonin, but you may need dopamine. So go for a run, get some exercise. There are other ways to give ourselves the nourishment and the feel-good feelings that we're looking for that don't necessarily have to come from food. So we need to be honest with ourselves and recognize, if we have a food addiction, why are we addicted to it? What is it doing for us? What are we looking to get out of it? And how can we find that in other more resourceful ways? Remembering that it's about the journey, not the destination. We tend to delude ourselves when we say, I'm going to be happy when, fill in the blank. I'm going to be happy when I lose weight. I'm going to be happy when I'm skinny. I'm going to be happy when I fit into those jeans. Unfortunately, we take ourselves with us, whether or not we lose some excess weight. the issues, the emotional component that hasn't been addressed is still going to be there. So we need to look at this as a journey of becoming a different person from the inside out. And we need to ask ourselves, what would that person do? What would the person who lives this healthy life, this idealized person that we have in our minds, what would they live like? How would they grocery shop? How would they go throughout their day? How would they love their kids? How would they socialize? How would they exercise? How would they eat? Yes, all of those things, but all of the other things too, because really at the end of the day, there are factors in our lives that are asking for our attention. And if we're not addressing them, we're going to have these subconscious pokes and prods saying, hey, you need to do something about that. Hey, you need to fix this. And our soul and even our body knows what our mind doesn't want to admit. And while the mind thinks that it's smart in distracting us, we are not actually getting away with anything. And those things are going to be stored in the body and it's going to cause disease. So if we're not addressing the things that need to be addressed, we're going to continue to struggle with these layers of weight. Essentially, it's metaphorically or symbolically indicative of these things that we're not addressing, we're not able to release, and we're holding on to things. And so we need to be willing to do what we need to do. Yes. So accomplish your highest potential and be proud of who you are. So living the life of that person means that we acknowledge our value, we acknowledge our worth, we are striving for our highest potential, because we know deep down inside of us, the skinny us inside of us is asking for us to acknowledge the truth of who we are. And holding on to excess weight is not natural. It's not good for you. You're not cursed to be that way forever. And you can achieve your highest potential. We need to be proud of ourselves, our natural selves, not the image that Glamour magazine suggests that we should be, but looking at ourselves with truth and honesty and knowing that we could be significantly lighter and freer of all of this extra weight. And when I say weight in this sentence, I'm suggesting the density and the weight of everything that we carry around with us is not natural, and it's holding you back from your highest potential. So gratitude is a really huge component of this. Having gratitude not only for your body in its current state, but also for all the crap that it's put up with. And it's important to say thank you to our bodies for being willing to continue to fight and to heal and to renew and restore and try again. Our bodies afford us the opportunity to have a new beginning every single day. And it's really important to remember to have gratitude. Gratitude for the fact that we can walk still, that we can wake up still, that we get to experience life, we get to feel the cool breeze on our skin. It's so important to remember to have gratitude for our body. A couple books that I would throw into that can help not only with gratitude, but with loving what is and any guilt and shame that might come with struggling to lose weight. Loving What Is and Daring Greatly. Byron Katie is amazing. She's a wonderful woman, and she's been very impactful for me and in my life, so I would highly recommend those books as well. Next would be tell a new story. Remember that by telling that old story of I'm just big boned, or my being overweight runs in my family, so I will always be this way. That's an old story and it's not true. And by telling that story, we continue to recreate something that we don't want. And so we need to tell a new story. And it's important to remember that oftentimes our thoughts lie to us. And so we need to really check our thoughts, make sure they're positive, and start to tell a new story. Start to imagine what our life could be like, or what our life will be like. Imagine what our destiny is, what we were designed for. We were designed for greatness. And so to tell that new story and to start to kind of piece together the evidence of what is coming and what could be can help us to create that new story. We need to understand too why we were addicted to food, because oftentimes that'll be part of the story that we're telling ourselves, and to shift that addiction and that need that's being met, and make the positive outlet, the resourceful way of meeting that need, part of our new story. Remember, again, it's not about the destination, it is about the journey. It's about changing your life and changing who you are, changing who you present yourself to be in the world. Remember that it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. I've tried every diet out there, and I've pieced together different parts of them. No one diet has worked 100% for me. In fact, taking what does work and putting them into my own solution has been the most effective piece. I will say I absolutely love fasting, juice fasting. Fruit in general can be very healing, although you're going to struggle with the lie of sugar. So really just getting around the mindset piece is going to be the critical first component. But I highly recommend fasting as well. Just some quick highlights on fasting: cell regeneration, healing, changing your relationship to hunger, clearer thinking, and being more in tune and connected with the divine and spirit, and hearing your intuition. It's also very purifying for the body. If you must count calories, I would say do ballpark counting, not to the calorie, because if you go 2 calories over, the mental anguish is far worse than the 2 calories. Your body can handle the 2 calories. It's the stress hormones that give it a harder time. So yeah, be part of a community, reach out, connect with people here, connect with me, get a coach, get the help you need to start shifting your mindset so that you can really be at your best, because the world needs you at your highest potential, and you are a critical component. We need you to shine. So I am here as always. I have a couple sessions left for coaching. The link is down below. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video, and I'm sending so much love. Namaste, my friend.